Today we will be talking about the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, also known as SNCC, a group of students dedicated to the civil rights cause. This group was founded by Ella Baker in April 1960 in Raleigh, North Carolina. They started off by protesting in local restaurants that young black students had been denied service at. This brought them national attention. In 1961, the SNCC began to support and help organize the Freedom Rides, and they later joined with the SCLC during the March on Washington in 1963. SNCC emerged from a student meeting and has become one of the most important organizations of the civil rights movement. The main purposes of this group include anti-racism, pacifism, and participative democracy. The goal of SNCC is to increase the awareness for student participation amongst the movement and to desegregate the South. The greatest contribution behind this organization is its organized voter registration in the South. Also, SNCC's focus is on Black power. A majority of their followers are African American, and many supporters in the North who helped raise funds to bring it to the South. Members of the organization are known as shock troops of the revolution. They have brought moderate success in desegregation, however, were criticized for some of their methods.
Good afternoon. Today we'll be discussing a prominent leader of the SNCC, the man who proclaimed Black Power himself, Mr. Stokely Carmichael. As you may know, Carmichael made his name as a member and chairman of the SNCC, working with icons like Martin Luther King Jr. to stage protests and radiate a nonviolent philosophy of life. However, Carmichael later began to question the authority of King's nonviolent strategies. Carmichael soon came to the realization that perhaps violence was necessary under certain circumstances, including those of self-defense. Altogether, Carmichael abandoned the tactic of nonviolence. He began to promote Black Power and allied himself with the militant Black Panther Party. Recently, Carmichael delivered his infamous Black Power speech at the Berkeley campus.
Now, there are several programs that we have in the South amongst some poor white communities. We're trying to organize poor white on a base where they can begin to move around the question of economic exploitation and political disfranchisement. We know, we've heard the theory several times, but few people are willing to go into there. The question is, can the white activist not try to be a Pepsi generation who comes alive in a black community, but can he be a man who's willing to move into the white community and start organizing where the organization is needed? Can he do that? The question is, can the white society or the white activist disassociate himself with two clowns who waste time parrying with each other rather than talking about the problems that are facing people in this state? Can you disassociate yourself with those clowns and start to build new institutions that will eliminate all idiots like them?
With his words, Carmichael strove to define Black Power as a psychological struggle for Black liberation. But his audience consisted of primarily white students. These students were sympathetic to the civil rights movement and craving to help Carmichael in his endeavors. Yet few of these students understood what Carmichael meant by Black Power and found themselves disconnected from experiences of racism and discrimination. Interestingly, instead of seeking the help of them, Carmichael condemned his white audience in Berkeley. At the same time, though, he established common goals for both Black Power and student activists, suggesting that they could even work together. His dramatic, hyperbolic, oversimplified speech encouraged student activism and attracted media attention to his speech. They challenged his audience to act. He may not have fully appealed to white America, but Carmichael brilliantly voiced the common enemies of the student and Black Power movements against racism, poverty, and greed of America's first class. As anyone can see, Carmichael transformed his skeptics into followers with vivid and humorous language. His dedication to the Black community inspired passion in each and every student to join together and defeat hardships. All the while, he expressed the almighty goal of Black Power, to empower and create strong racial identities for African Americans, and for his passion and perseverance, we praise him.
And now, on the live to New Orleans, Louisiana, where the Freedom Riders have just arrived. They're here in commemoration for the famous Brown versus Board of Education trial, which was decided 7 years ago in this city. Recently, members of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, known for short as the SNCC, have been riding buses through the southern states, especially the ones who have been discriminating black citizens the most. The concept for these rides first originated from the Congress of Racial Equality, who sponsored a journey of reconciliation. This journey was their group's first ride for freedom, and now the SNCC's current Freedom Ride is considered to be a rendition of the journey. The ride began in the nation's capital, Washington, D.C., and is set to end here in New Orleans. The attendees of the SNCC's ongoing ride are a group of 7 black and 6 white members, one of the most famous of the crew being John Lewis. Lewis is a black rights activist who has been arrested multiple times for his efforts to stop segregation. Now, here we are with Mr. John Lewis himself. Mr. Lewis, would you mind telling us a little bit about your journey to New Orleans?
Well, I've grown up listening to the words of Martin Luther King Jr. on the radio. The schools I went to were always segregated, but I knew that things didn't have to be that way. Once I was old enough, I joined the Freedom Riders. I knew I was ready since I already led a few protests at my university. Although I had been arrested in the past, I knew it was the right thing to do. On May 4th, we left from Washington, D.C., and for the first day or so, it really wasn't that bad. It wasn't until this week that the guys and I had really bad issues. We have been beaten and hit while still trying to stand up for our beliefs.
And what happened earlier today?
Well, we'd almost made it to New Orleans. Today, May 14th, 1961. The Greyhound bus was the first to arrive in Anniston, Alabama. There, an angry mob of about 200 white folks surrounded the bus, which caused the driver to continue past the bus station. We missed it. The mob followed the bus in automobiles, and while the tires on the bus blew out, someone threw a bomb into the bus. The Freedom Riders escaped the bus as it burst into flames, only to be brutally beaten by members of the surrounding mob. We did not have a good time.
My goodness, I'm so sorry, Mr. Lewis. I had no idea the violence that went down. Thank you so much for your time. I'll leave you to your rest and healing. You heard it first, live from Alabama. Now, let's head back to the desk for a new segment called Debating the Issues. Stay tuned. A month or so ago, 4 boys who were refused service at the Woolworth lunch counter in Greensboro, North Carolina, sat for multiple days in the restaurant in silent protest. As the days progressed, hundreds of teenagers joined the silent protest to stand up for what they believe in. Today we have brought in Franklin McCain, one of the original silent protesters, and one Woolworth's manager to talk about this heated issue. Thanks for being here today. Hey. And hello to you too, Mr. Woolworth.
The pleasure is mine.
So my first question is for Mr. Woolworth. Can you explain what happened in details on February 1st, 1960?
Well, it started out like any other day. Then all of a sudden, these hoodlums walk into my lunch counter. Now, I've always denied my service to those people. But on that day, they refused to leave. They sat there knowing what they would not be served. They took up valuable space on my lunch counter, preventing my other loyal customers from enjoying my homemade sandwiches.
Do you have anything to add?
Well, as a matter of fact, I do. On that day, we proved something. Not only were we refused service, but we were refused our rights, our community, and our sense of humanity. We sat in silence, not harming a single soul, for centuries.
Excuse me, there is a lunch counter 2 blocks down the street for your kind. Don't come biting at my business.
Boys, men, calm down. Mr. Woolworth, calm down. Anyway, Mr. McCain, 2-part question for you. How has this impacted your life, and what do you think will come from your peaceful and silent protests?
Well, from the time I was a child, I've always felt the pointed fingers and stares and thinly veiled hatred directed at me and my brothers and sisters. I've watched them beaten and bloodied by those just trying to prove a point. But we will not stand for this any longer. This is us getting off our knees and holding our own. You may disrespect us or spit your lies, but you can't ignore what we're doing. You're taking the high road. We are here. We are fighting for our rights.
Thank you. To sum it up, the SNCC finds the sit-ins a very important issue today in American society. Thank you, Mr. McCain and Mr. Woolworth, for taking the time to come in today. That's it for today on this segment of Debating the Issue. Back to you, Allie at the desk.
Breaking news. We have just been informed that Woolworth's lunch counter has officially been desegregated. The silent protesters have officially made their first step to achieving their goals. Thank you.